So I just flew back to the lab from California, and we're starting to do a little bit of putter research that's going to be integrated into both our level 2 engineer and our level 2 club fit. So we wanted to put this adjustable platform to use, and we're going to be going through and we're going to be hitting some putts with a spider and with my old 009 across flat ground, and 3% right to left, 3% left to right incline. We want to try and see how does change in pitch affect the actual delivery of the putter, and how does the type of putter that we use actually change the way things work when we change slopes. And we're going to be trying out this new toy called Capto, and we're going to use it to measure all of the putter movement dynamics over the course of the stroke. After we get through this, we're going to have the boys break down the two putter heads so we can actually measure the CG and the MOI and get as much information as we can so we can understand how this putter could affect our delivery. Let's get started. All right, let's see, it's now 3:27. We started setup at 1 o'clock, so over 2 hours later, we finally get to roll some putts. So let's go ahead, we're gonna hit 5 with the 009.
Hang on, yeah, you're good.
So let's roll another 5 and see what happens.
3.
Oh man, that's a lot of data. I'll tell you, just like going through and rolling the putts, it was crazy when we had it calibrated with the laser, totally controlled environment. Those left to right putts, I don't know what it is, but they just look crazy to me. I can't actually even really see the line. As soon as I got to right to left, it was pretty comfortable. We're gonna take the rest of the night. We're gonna sit down, grab a beer, and try and figure a whole bunch of this stuff out. We'll be back to you tomorrow to interpret the results. All right, we're back. It's the afternoon of day 2. We've spent the morning trying to make sense of just this ridiculous volume of data that we've got. Even just from the flat putts, there's so much going on. So let's talk a little bit about the different measurements we got from the club head. Let's talk about some of the low-hanging fruit, the things we saw we expected to see. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some of the new information to us and how that could affect putter selection for your golfers.
All right, so yeah, through the CG testing, obviously we measured 2 very different heads. The spider being a pretty big mallet, and 009 being a blade. The biggest change was the depth of the CG from the face of the putter. The spider was actually double the amount than the 009. Spider coming in at about 35 millimeters away from the hosel line versus the 009, which was 16 millimeters away from the hosel line.
Now, we know that when, the farther we drop that CG back from the club face, that's going to increase the MOI, the moment of inertia. And that's going to, make the head less resistant to twisting during the collision. What were the MOI readings between the two? Was it double the MOI because CG was twice as far back?
Actually, it worked out to be about 20% more higher MOI on the spider than the 009.
Okay, all right. So it's not a linear relationship there. So what MOI went from 4,200 roughly on the 009 up to just over 5,000. So I'll tell you what, why don't drag over some of the Capto information here, and let's take a look at a couple things. So right up here we've got 009. So one of the neat things I find is this one right here, this energy transfer. So with my contact point, so we can see over here being a little bit towards the heel, there was on average a 10.9% energy loss by impact point away from the sweet spot. Standard deviation on that was about 3%. So now let's flip over and take a look when we go to the spider. So even though the MOI wasn't double, the energy loss was cut in half, and the standard deviation was significantly reduced. We see as well, my impact point didn't change too much. It was a little bit out the heel. So, those are kind of the things that we expected. We take a look at a few other things we see up on here. Pretty low standard deviations on face angle, change in shaft lean, change in standard deviation. all of those are measured relative to setup. Okay? But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to scroll through some of the live data on the application. And the first thing I find very, very interesting is understanding, I guess, the difference between what was the shaft lean at address and what was it from plumb, or what was it from an absolute zero. So as I'm taking a look right here on the spider, I return it pretty close to where it was at address, but if I look at it from plumb, I'm 2.1 degrees de-lofted. And then when I take a look at my face-to-path relationship, it's coming through significantly more closed. My path is shifted a little bit out to the right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shift over and get some of the live reports coming from the 009. So let's take a look at what we've got here. So when we get here, again, we see very similar low standard deviation, low relative change compared to address, but a big difference in comparison to plumb. So when we take a look here, we see, you can see that I'm scrolling through this shaft versus ideal, and with the 009, like, it is bang on. Right, so what happens is now I'm delivering the putter with a much more neutral loft, which is in turn going to give me more consistent ball launch. So Carson, if you take a look, can you drag the Foresight stuff in over here to our video wall? Right, now this is super, super simple. Tons of coaches have different preferences, but when we start to look at putting data, I think we can all agree that reducing standard deviation is one of the keys of what we want to do. So now when I take a look here, we can see there's not a huge difference. At 2 RPMs of backspin launching off my 009 is virtually nothing, but I see a very low standard deviation. When I take a look at 22 forward spin, not a huge difference, but significantly more standard deviation with that particular putter. So as it's coming through de-lofted, my rise angle, my dynamic loft get closer, it's going to come out with topspin. Now, where I think for me this is personally an issue is when we get over here to looking at the standard deviation of speed control. 9 inches to 1 foot 2 inches doesn't seem like a lot, but if I've got 30% difference in standard deviation, that's going to be something I'm going to care about. So even though that high MOI putter delivered more consistent and more energy to the ball, the nature in which it was delivered created more variability in speed control. The next thing that I want to take a look at is the face-to-path relationship. So when we go through here and we look at the face-to-path, we can see throughout the entire time that face-to-path is slightly closed on the spider. Right? So when we look at that line, it's down below 0. If we have perfect normal rotation, that face-to-path will be 0 over the course of the entire arc. Now I'm going to skip back here and I'm going to call up the next putter. Perfect. So now when you see this, if you can remember what this curve is like in comparison to the last one I showed you on the dynamic face-to-path screen, you can see that blue line is way, way below the 0 line. It's significantly more closed, and on the way down, it's closed for the entire time. Now, if I go look at the shaft arc, you can see it's even more significant, right? So, one of the things Carson and I were trying to talk about and figure out, like, well, what the heck does that mean, right? So, if I played with this putter my entire professional career, and with the CG much closer to the face, what we were thinking is that, I'm used to allowing that putter to release and add loft. Now when I got this one so far behind, I haven't trained, the upward portion of the arc. That feel is so different. That's not going to happen until well after the ball has left the face and the CG at the back location of this putter gets underneath the center of my arc. So, closing thoughts is when we go and look at this, we think it's very important that you consider that person's launch condition and their face angle as it relates to CG. If I want to have a person that's going to be easier for them to increase their rise angle, I'm going to take a putter that has a closer CG to the face. if they tend to flip and pop their putts, I'm definitely going to want to get something that has a CG much deeper behind the shaft. Carson, what other stuff did you see in the data that people can use to help select a better putter for them?
Well, I think the coolest thing was the MOI. I couldn't believe how much that changed.
Right.
The increase in MOI, we talked about speed control, could be or could not be a good thing for some people. Obviously, if you're a center striker like yourself, who's pretty consistent, a high MOI putter may not be the good thing for you.
Right.
For the amateur that hits it all over the face, hey, that's great to maintain that same amount of ball speed.
Right.
The center face, when we looked at rotations and of the face, the 009 being a little bit closer or further from the center of the face, I think it really helped you with your rotation and kept you maintained versus the spider that kind of got too close to the middle, totally different feel for you.
Yeah, we're gonna do a deeper dive in what happened when we started to shift across different paths, but I certainly struggled a lot with the base control on the spider. We could see that it was much more inconsistent.
Yes.
So, you know, I think simple Coles Notes takeaway, if you're working with amateurs that are hitting the ball all over the face, definitely that high MOI putter is going to be better for them. I would recommend experimenting with a little bit higher loft to negate that tendency to deliver the high MOI putter with more forward shaft length. And of course the opposite could be true if you have someone that has more arc. Getting them into a blade style low MOI putter is a good way to go, but you may want to remove a degree of loft to get a more neutral launch when they deliver it with increased shaft angle. You ready to get back and study this stuff so we can put the rest of it out to our certifieds?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, alright, I think we'll get back in probably 2-3 days once we digest this volume of information.